that actually happened. It did happen. I know for a fact it happened. I watched it happen. And there's a box score to prove that it happened. But I still don't know if I believe that it happened. If you don't know already, the Oklahoma City Thunder just lost by 73 points in a game, making it the second worst thing involving the number 73 to happen to the Oklahoma City Thunder in a basketball setting. Before we go any further, if you're new and you like basketball, I really think you love this channel. So if you haven't already, feel free to like, subscribe, hit notification bell to be notified whenever I release a video. I make videos like this, just talking about basketball, giving you my authentic thoughts. So if that interests you, this is the channel for you. Let's try to get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. I'm doing daily uploads in the month of December, so if you want consistent basketball content, this is the place for you. But with that being said, let's talk about it, because the context behind this game as well is insane. So obviously, letting up 152 points is bad. It's just something that you don't really expect to happen a lot in the NBA. It's something you expect more in an all-star game setting than anything. But only scoring 79 points is also kind of insane. Especially in the modern NBA, it's just so high scoring, even with the new rules with physicality and stuff. But, you know, it goes even further than that. I understand, you know, the Thunder, they were a bit short-handed in this game. They were missing Derek Favors, they were missing Josh Giddey, they were missing SGA, who's like their best player. They were missing Theo Maledon, Aaron Wiggins, who were kind of rotation guys. I'm not sure about Theo. I know Wiggins has had moments in the rotation. But then again, you look at the Memphis Grizzlies, and they also had guys out of the rotation. You know, Kyle Anderson is like one of their better players. Ja Morant is their best player. Zion Williams was getting rotation minutes. So I don't really think there is an excuse for this, even with the players with OKC having out. And because of, again, the fact that, look at the players that Memphis has out. Now, the thing for me is, what if Ja Morant played in this game? Like, what if he did? Like, what would the score look like? It would easily be over like an 80-point game, because Ja Morant's just that good. Mind you, again, Ja Morant, again, that's not playing, is a big factor in this. Ja Morant gives you like 25 and 7 tonight. That's 25 and 7 that wasn't in this game, and they still won by this much. How big would this margin of defeat have been if Ja played? You know, only playing the games would tell, but like, that's kind of insane to think about. What's also insane to think about is, you know, those starters really didn't do much outside of like Jaren Jackson Jr. Like, Desmond Bane had an uncharacteristically bad game. You know, Steven Adams was fine. Tyus Jones was fine. Dylan Brooks was fine, but, you know, he's capable of more. Jaren Jackson Jr., again, 27 points in 20 minutes is insane. 6 3-pointers in 20 minutes is insane. Who knows what his numbers could have looked like if OKC could have put up a fight, but they couldn't. So, like, what would their numbers, like, okay. By the way, I would slander any of these guys on the Memphis Grizzlies if any of them had a negative plus-minus in this game, which doesn't seem possible, because I don't think Memphis trailed in this game at all, but it would have been funny if one of them did. Like, that would have been a fun little tidbit, but you know, it is what it is. Their bench outplayed OKC starters. OKC got outplayed in general. I think that's very clear. But, you know, Santi Aldama, who's one of their first round picks, really good game from him. Did not hit a 3-pointer, but was still very good. You know, John Kochar was hitting his shots. Xavier Tillman was doing his thing. D'Anthony Melton had an awesome game as well. D'Anthony Melton had like 17, like 5 and 5 at like halftime. Like, most of this production from him came in the first half. Killian Tilly contributed a bit. Brandon Clark contributed a bit. Jarrett Culver contributed a bit. Jarrett Culver, like, isn't even in the rotation anymore. Like, Jarrett Culver got moved for nothing. Like, at all. He's not even in the rotation, really. And he was getting his in this game. Like, was OKC even trying? It didn't feel like it. I think they got to a certain point and said, you know, let's just let him get the record, it felt like, at times. But, you know, you'll get OKC. Rudy Dort had 15 points. Got to the line 8 times. Like, congrats. You know, Trey Mann, one of his first starts of the season. You know, played okay. Actually, that's actually pretty solid, numbers-wise. I mean, Ty Jerome played 35 minutes. He didn't do much of anything. Besides, like, try to make it look not as bad. Which, by the way, trying to not make it look as bad means, like, getting it down to 73. It looked like at one point that they were going to get 80-pieced. Like, they got to, like, 78, and I'm like, oh my god, they're going to get to 80. And they just didn't, obviously. But that's still absurd. I mean, those starters barely played outside Ty Jerome. And Paul Watson played 32 minutes and went 1 for 8 from the field. Bobby was solid, I guess. Gabriel Deck got minutes. Poku got minutes. Mike Muscala got minutes. Like, it was ugly. And, you know, for me, what it was is, you get to the first half, okay? And they have scored 36 points in the first half. And I was like, excuse me? 36 points in the first half. Like, 5 points in the first half is, like, kind of, like, pathetic, in my opinion. I'm not gonna lie. Like, 45 is, like, kind of, like, you kind of expect, like, the 50s, 60s at this point by the end of the first half. But, 36 points in the first half. For some perspective. We've seen guys like James Harden get 36 in the first half. I think so. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure we have. Klay Thompson had 37 points in a quarter. Which is really insane. But the fact that we've seen a player have more points in a quarter than a team did in the first half is absurd. They took 41 shots, which is only 6 more shots. Only 6 less shots, my bad, than what the Grizzlies took. So it's not that big of a discrepancy in field goal attempts. And they've taken, like, 9 more 3-point attempts than Memphis did. So they're taking more threes. They've taken more free throws, and they've only taken, like, 6 less total shots compared to Memphis. And they are down. I'm not great at math. I'm not gonna lie. And they're down, like, I'm gonna guess, like, 32 at this point. It's a 32-point deficit. So this is already bad enough. Hitting 10 field goals in a half. I've seen multiple players hit 10 field goals in a quarter. like, you see, like, again, let's look at the first quarter. They hit 5 shots. Memphis hits 12. Let's look at the second quarter. They hit 5 shots again. Like, what is going on here? This is just awful. And again, what makes this even more insane to me is the fact that, like, up to this point, they are keeping a pace as far as volume of attempts with Memphis. And they're losing by 30 plus. And by the way, I redid the math, and in my head, so I could be off, it's 36, not 32. But that's besides the point. It's still pathetic that you're kind of keeping pace with the volume of, like, the first half, and you're losing by that much. And again, D'Anthony Melton had 17, 3, and 4 in the first half. Which is really good. But that's not the point of this video. So, 36-point deficit in the first half, surely, it can't get any worse than this. It can't, right? Maybe it'll maintain at around a 30-point lead. It can't possibly get worse. Third quarter happens. And, actually, that's actually pretty solid. 26 points in a quarter is nothing that's, bad, per se. Because, 9 for 21 from the field, which is, mind you, they hit almost the same amount of field goals in the third quarter as they did the entire first half. Oh my goodness. But the thing is, they allowed Memphis to score 41 points, which is not good. They were super efficient. Starters barely played. This is when they started barely playing the bench at this point. And again, I'm like, okay, at this point, you're the play-by-play. It's easy to get this here. And at this point, by the end of the third quarter, it's we got to at this point, 50. We're at 50. I'm like, okay, 50-point loss, that's historically bad. And at this point, I start rooting for this historic blowout. I am rooting for this actively. You can go follow my Twitter, link in the description below. It's actually along the bar right here. You can go follow that. You can tell on Twitter, I was actively rooting for this. It's kind of sick. Shout out 3Cone, that's my guy. He didn't deserve this. He's a great fan, great content creator. I'll link his channel in the description below. But he didn't deserve this. But I'm sorry, I was actively rooting for this, and it just keeps on getting worse and worse and worse and worse. It just kept on piling up. Again, it did almost get to 80. I'm not kidding. It almost got to 80. And we got to 73, which is still historic, but it almost got to 80. And then the Oklahoma City, they post on their Twitter the graphic of the final score. I'm like, dude, just log off. Just don't post anything about this. They said something like regroup or something like that. I'll put the post up. But have some saying for yourself. Don't do this to yourself. Oh my gosh, why would you post that? You don't have to post the final score every time. Or if you are, just post the score in a tweet. Don't put it in a graphic. Excuse me, where's the game? Oh, there it is. But oh my god, it was just all around it was bad. And again, the fact that I understand Shai Gilgeous-Alexander didn't play. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a big missing piece. Josh Giddey is a big missing piece. Josh Giddey's been awesome as a rookie. Hell, Jeremiah Robinson has actually been really good as well as a rookie. This is just one of his worst games. But and even Trey Mann, I love Trey Mann as a prospect, and he was proper value for when they got him. But at the same time, there's no excuse for this, because again, the other team's missing, it's a key player in Kyle Anderson, but more importantly, they're missing their franchise player for the game. And they lost like this. I didn't expect OKC to win, even with the John Moran injury, because again, SGA and Josh Giddey, I did not expect them to win. But to lose by 73 points is insane. I could totally imagine, because I'm pretty sure, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, either was watching the game at home because of concussion protocol, or not watching the game at all because of concussion protocol, and either while watching the game, or, just hearing about this, he would probably have this look on his face. I could totally imagine just looking like this at the TV, or after hearing that they lost by that many points. I could totally just having, that reaction is kind of what I think it would happen. But yeah, this was awful. This was. But hey, NBA history is NBA history. One way or another. You know, for OKC, this is the worst loss in NBA history. For the Memphis Grizzlies, this is the greatest win in NBA history, at least according to point differential.